It's just to sort of describe how we ended up on this design. In skiing, normally you have a binding in a boot that has a free pivot in front of your toe, and then you've also got the flex of the boot in this direction. So you've got something that pivots really nicely, but also provides the right amount of flex, and then also ideally provides quite a bit of sort of like lateral stiffness. So when you sort of take away the binding and take away that pivot, our goal was to try to get as close as you can to that feeling. And what we found is the further forward you move where this strap hinges and where it flexes, it's sort of, you get a little closer to that feeling of having a free pivot in front of your toe. It is a fine line because, you know, you can't, there is a limit to how far you can move it forward. But right around this point seemed like a pretty good spot. And then also, as far as locating your toe in a heel, we ended up with sort of this, you know, in machining you called it like a V block, but basically you have a triangle, it's going to give you 2 points of contact, which is really convenient for if you have sort of a whole range of different arcs of different sizes of different shapes. It also, probably for a good reason, resembles the shape of like a 3-pin binding, you know, which is also sort of that like, I guess like shallow triangle shape, for lack of a better word. So once you can locate sort of your toe and your heel, so you know you can move this forward and back, then you need something that lets you use the flex of the boot, which, you know, every boot's a little different, but ideally you get some flex out of it like this. And then also stops it from just slopping side to side. So you need to have the right amount of resistance this way, and then ideally very, you know, very stiff side to side. So we sort of tried out a number of, I mean, there were a lot of iterations before this, but once we got to sort of the V-block toe and heel connected with a piece of plastic, then it's just sort of trying to find the right material for that. So you want something that will bend reasonably easily, but has quite a bit of rigidity side to side. So that's why this is almost like, you know, it is constrained right here, so it can't move side to side very easily without buckling. And when it's on your boot, it is harder for it to buckle too, so that helps. And then as far as attaching it to your feet, we tried a lot of different things, you know, sort of like the ratchet buckle, more rigid options. The thing that's really forgiving about ski straps is because they are stretchy, you can get them pretty tight, but even when they're tight, as your foot moves, they will flex a little bit. Keep your foot in the binding, but also be like a little more comfortable than a really rigid strap. The other thing that's nice about them is because they're flexible, you can twist them or take like a slightly different shape, stretch them to a different shape, because you'll notice that sort of every boot is different in weird ways. So we actually found the ski straps, this like TPU material, is really forgiving for just like holding things where they should be and keeping them there, while also being comfortable enough to provide flex and movement. Over how to adjust these smaller and larger. You should, to make them smaller, this is almost as large as it goes, is you can either just hold the ski and slide it forward. You can also tip it up so it sort of rotates away from this connecting piece and then slide it. So that's all the way small. To make it a larger size, what you want to do is sort of rotate it away from this connecting plate, and then you can just pull it back. So there are these connected, almost like little connector pieces that fit in these holes. So if you can rotate them away, it'll slide forward, it'll slide back, but you can also just push them together like this, and then just make sure they go into one of the holes.